Welcome, everyone, to Introducing the Private AI series. I'm Joe Spisak. I'm the PyTorch product manager at Facebook AI, and I'm joined by Andrew Trask, leader of OpenMined and Ph.D. student at University of Oxford, and my partner in crime on this effort. Thanks so much for being here, Andrew.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So should we talk a little bit about this collaboration that we've had going for a while now? Who's involved? What's going on?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, obviously we have some really fantastic partners. So backing the project, Facebook AI, PyTorch, and obviously PyTorch is integral to the infrastructure upon which all the courses are taught. This allows us to do some really amazing things for students in terms of the level of quality and sort of education experience that we're able to provide for students, which is really, really fantastic. I think we'll talk more about that in a minute. But we also have two other really great partners this time around, which I'm incredibly excited. So first is the Center for the Governance of AI at the Future of Humanity Institute here in Oxford. So the Center for Governance of AI and also the FHI more broadly have been integral to OpenMined story and really, I think, to sort of privacy tech and AI governance stories more broadly. So obviously they, Nick Bostrom and crew were pivotal in the AI safety movement, and I think they and the Center for the Governance of AI are just as pivotal in the privacy technology movement. And so to have them as a close partner in content creation and development here at Oxford is really, really exciting. Mm-hmm. And then the second partner, which I'm exceptionally excited about, is the United Nations Global Working Group on Big Data. So the United Nations Global Working Group on Big Data is affiliated with the Office of Official Statistics, which has connections into the official statistics offices at UN member nations around the world. And their job is to provide the official numbers that can back policy-making decisions. And as you might expect, they have a lot of challenges getting access or deciding how they want to give access to data sets at all these different member nations that are trying to study and answer really important questions. And so they've been a really, really early adopter and an early champion of privacy-enhancing techniques. They have an explicit purview to support education, and so super excited for them to be helping to support the course development that we're working on here. And they also have an explicit mandate to create an official certification for being able to study private information, and you do privacy-preserving techniques in the context of statistics and machine learning. And we're super, super excited to be able to partner with them to create a course series that is in part designed to prepare students to be able to go on and become officially certified from the UN Global Working Group. So it's really, really exciting. And then, of course, I guess I probably can't mention all this without mentioning OpenMind's role, which for those of you who are familiar with the Secure and Private AI course that we did together a couple of years ago, we worked with an official or an external MOOC provider. And this time we're going to run it inside of the OpenMined community. And I'll tell you the biggest reason we want to do this is that education shouldn't be a one-off thing you do by yourself. Like we view ourselves having a deeply vested interest in finding students, right? In going out on social media, having events, helping people understand the narrative of what privacy-enhancing techniques are all about, helping people become educated throughout the course series. We want to provide free, high-quality courses over a long period of time. And then after they graduate, that's not the end of their journey, right? That's the beginning of their journey. That's when they can get involved in open source development, in local meetups, in joining one of our dev teams or one of our community teams, and eventually joining one of the startups or enterprises that are in and around the community, right? And really, making that full transition from kind of being a normal data scientist or being in some other, a normal product manager, or normal, whatever their background might be, into this sort of new world that is driven by privacy and technology. And so to be running in the courses inside of this sort of broader community that can provide these kind of services, I'm incredibly excited about.
Yeah, this is amazing. I completely agree. I think learning and education is a never-ending cycle, and I think this is such an amazing way to teach and grow a community at the same time. So why don't we dive a little bit into the series of courses?
Yeah, let's do it. So there's 4 courses we're going to release initially in the first quarter of next year. So the first one being the Privacy and Society course to be launched in January. And really, this follows a very standard pedagogy of starting with kind of a high-level awareness and, sort of what are the big words, what are the big terms, all the way down into, foundations and then into individual practitioner courses to show you how to put things into production for specific use cases. So maybe to jump into the first awareness course. The first awareness course is really, it's a half-day to one-day course that's designed primarily for both technical and non-technical individuals. So if you're a product manager, if you are a philanthropist, if you're a VC, and you want to understand what are privacy enhanced technologies and how are they going to make the world different, right? And how does that affect me and the people that I know? That's what this course is supposed to give you in a half day to a full day of content, right? So it's non-technical. It's the executive course. It's if you're a CEO or a VC or an engineer, and you just want to get your head around what is this. That's what that course is about. The second course, looking at foundations, is the first real technical course, right? And this divides privacy enhanced technologies into about 11 modules, one on each of the major pillars of privacy enhancing technology. So, you'll do a full day on differential privacy, a full day on federated learning, full day on homomorphic encryption, full day on secure multi-party computation. And each one of these full days, you'll learn the maths, you'll build it from scratch, you'll ultimately learn one of the industry standard tools so that you understand both the guts that are inside this and what an industry standard tool looks like for this technique. And then the final two courses are really just focused on taking this background information that you learned and putting it into production in specific use cases. So the first one being around federated learning and data science in the context of across enterprises. So if you have a data set that's spread across different enterprises, how do you do privacy enhancing model training, statistics, data science in this environment? And more importantly, how do you put this kind of system into production? How do you spin it up on the cloud? How do you talk to stakeholders? How do you load data in? How do you what is the role of a data compliance officer? All these really important topics. And then for federated learning on mobile, it's the exact same concept. It was, how do I manage a data ecosystem while the data is distributed across not a bunch of enterprises, but distributed across a bunch of devices, right? How do I do, private site intersection? How do I do distributed database queries? How do I train machine learning models and do distributed statistics? All while, all the pieces, the big core components of how I need to manage data, but do so while data continues to live on a fleet of devices, which is really, really exciting.
Let's dive a little bit into each course and just kind of give everyone a preview of what they're going to learn.
Yeah, sure. So for the first one, awareness course is really about use cases. So it's like what are the list of technologies and what are the list of use cases and how do we think about mapping technologies onto use cases so that you can understand how this is going to affect your role. The second course, as I talked about briefly in the foundations course, is really about getting that first dive in for a practitioner where they know enough to be able to implement something from scratch, to be able to follow along with standard literature, and to be able to use industry standard tools and know what's going on under the hood. So I love teaching in the way of building things from scratch because I think it helps people really deeply understand things, but also you have to hand over into production-ready tools. And then the last two techniques, so cross-enterprise statistics or federated learning, you're going to learn how to stand up an enterprise data system. You're going to learn how to go into the cloud, set up a PyGrid instance, load in your data. You're going to learn what are the different user roles. You're going to learn how to talk to stakeholders, like when you're talking to your boss or the owner of a startup or whatever, or a potential data customer, someone who could put data into the system that you could then facilitate data science on their behalf. Like what are all these parties and how you talk to them. And then the final course, you're going to learn how to build apps, right? You're going to learn how to build an iOS or an Android app that allows you to be able to do this kind of dynamic statistics and model training while the data continues to live inside of this data app ecosystems, which is really exciting.
Yeah, this is an awesome series. I think this is, and it's really this kind of 0 to 1 for to really give people the knowledge of the space, make them kind of understand the terms, the generally how the technology is applied, the technologies themselves, all the way through to like enterprise, like federated learning, which is kind of what big companies like Facebook and others are doing. And so it's like this whole journey is really pretty amazing. But I think what's even cooler is like the actual like course features. Because I think that when you look at like some of the MOOCs and I know I've taken a lot of MOOCs, there's actually not a lot of these kind of course features that are available. Why don't you walk through some of these?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm really excited to get to work with Matt Leonard. So for those of you who don't know Matt, he and I taught together at Udacity for several years, with him being in the School of AI. And his philosophy around basing content around real world projects, things that you build. Like when I finish this course, I can build something. Is such an exciting thing, and I love having that at the core of these projects. It just makes them so much more real, and you kind of know that you've done something at the end of each course. The second one, and this was really kind of kind of almost aspirational. And Joe, I'm super excited that you're such a great partner and interested in really shooting for the stars to make the best possible course that we can, especially for these next three. But expert instructors, we have worked really, really hard to make it so that whenever you want to learn about any specific topic, that you can hear it not just from course instructors, but you can have at least a glimpse or a conversation with the people who invented or are part of the initial development of those algorithms. So like when we talk about differential privacy, we'll talk to Cynthia Dwork, who actually invented differential privacy. When we talk about contextual integrity, we'll talk with Helen Nissenbaum, who invented contextual integrity. When we talk about secure enclaves and Keystone, we'll talk to Don Song, who leads the Keystone project. When we're on Palliere homomorphic encryption, we'll talk to Pascal Palliere, who invented Palliere homomorphic encryption. And I think just the level of infrastructure, especially during pandemic times and these kinds of things, to be able to do this many guest interviews with this caliber of guests, I'm extremely excited about. And then finally, of course, when you take the course, you'll get projects that you don't just submit, but also get graded, and you get feedback. When you have questions, there are sort of professional, paid technical mentors there to make sure that you are walked through the projects and you're properly supported. And then all of this is happening within the broader OpenMined community, which is the people who help build the tools that you're now learning how to use. And you have access to the actual engineers who built the systems that you're learning how to use in these courses. So then all again happening within the ecosystem where you go through the education, and when you're done with the course, you have a place to go in a long-term community to continue to learn and grow and ultimately find your place in this new privacy preserving world.
Yeah, this is amazing. I think the biggest thing that's exciting for me is the community aspect of it, and just that this immersive community. It's an ongoing education kind of experience versus you take a MOOC and you're done and you kind of move on to the next MOOC or whatever.
Right.
In this case, you have an ongoing community. You have a community that's contributing code to
exactly.
On GitHub, on PyStep to PyTorch. And they're collaborating, they're building applications, they're blogging, they're actually solving real problems, partnering with industry, partnering with academia. I absolutely love what's going on here. This is amazing. So
awesome.
I think we need people to sign up. I think that's the next step. So why don't you tell people how to sign up, and then hopefully we can get people going on these courses.
Yeah, so we're launching the first 8,000 seats starting on January 2nd. So if you want to sign up for the first cohort, go to courses.openmind.org, and you'll see kind of information about the course, a lot of what we talked about today, and scroll to the bottom and fill out the form. And I can't wait to see you in the classroom.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you.